Millions across the rich world, from America to New Zealand, spend over a third of their disposable income on rent, a worsening trend affecting both social democracies and Anglophone countries. The 20th century saw a rise in homeownership. By 2000, 70% of Britons owned homes compared to 20% in 1920. However, in the 21st century, homeownership rates have fallen by 10 percentage points in countries like Britain, Denmark, Ireland, New Zealand, and Spain from the decade up to 2018. Renting has increased since 2010, with notable shifts in Britain, where private renters doubled from a tenth of the population in the early 2000s to a fifth, adding over 6 million renters. Generation Z, born between 1997 and 2012, now earns more than millennials did at the same age, but many still struggle to buy homes. In Britain, half of renters are over 35, with more families and elderly in the rental market. Rent increases in the past 3 years, driven by workers returning post-pandemic and rising wages, have not matched the supply of properties. High interest rates reduced building activity, with housing starts in Sweden down by 50% in Q1 2023. Affordability is the main issue, particularly for low-income tenants. Housing accounting for over 30% of gross income or 40% of disposable income is deemed unaffordable. In 2022, nearly half of American private rental households spent more than 30% of their gross income on rent, the highest level on record, up by 2 million in 3 years. Globally, rents consuming over 40% of disposable income are common. Affordability is the main issue, particularly for low-income tenants. Housing accounting for over 30% of gross income or 40% of disposable income is deemed unaffordable. In 2022, nearly half of American private rental households spent more than 30% of their gross income on rent, the highest level on record, up by 2 million in 3 years. Globally, rents consuming over 40% of disposable income are common. Economists criticize rent controls, warning of inefficient space allocation and stifled construction. Stockholm's strict rent controls, managed by a tenants' union, hold rents 50% below market rates but result in long waiting lists and black market sublets. The average wait for a rent-controlled apartment in central Stockholm is 20 years. The system disproportionately affects young people and immigrants. Moderate controls that limit rent increases within tenancies, like Boston's proposal, are less harmful but can still discourage investment and mobility. In Germany, recent rent clampdowns have impeded the market, while Sweden's controlled rents fell far below market rates years ago. Price controls are difficult to relax once implemented, as seen in Sweden where reform attempts have failed. Vienna, where 80% of inhabitants live in rent-controlled apartments, is often cited as a model. However, its success is due to lenient planning laws and a stable population. Conversely, Auckland, New Zealand, provides a better model. In 2016, it allowed denser development on residential land, leading to a housing boom that added 44,000 homes in 7 years, roughly 8% of the current stock. This increased supply kept rents nearly 30% lower than they might have been otherwise. However, similar progress has stalled in other cities. Ultimately, the solution for renters lies in enabling more building, as demonstrated by Auckland's approach. Only by increasing housing supply can cities alleviate the rental crisis effectively.